Unexpected encounter. Dr. Samantha Carter stared at the monitor, her eyes straining in the dim light of her lab. The clock on the wall ticked past midnight, but she barely noticed. As a leading researcher in human psychology and interpersonal relationships, Samantha was used to late nights. What she wasn't used to was a strange anomaly in her data. For weeks, she'd been tracking subtle changes in human behavior patterns across major cities. It had started as a routine study on the effects of social media on real-world interactions, but something didn't add up. There was a pattern emerging, a shift in human intimacy that defied explanation. Samantha leaned back in her chair, rubbing her tired eyes. "What am I missing?" she muttered to herself. The soft hum of her computer was the only response. Suddenly, a bright light flooded the room. Samantha squinted, thinking for a moment that she'd dozed off and the sun had risen. But this light was different, colder, more intense. It seemed to pass through the walls of her lab as if they weren't there. Before she could process what was happening, Samantha felt a strange tingling sensation throughout her body. The world around her began to blur, the familiar shapes of her lab dissolving into a swirl of colors. Her last conscious thought was a mix of fear and scientific curiosity before darkness enveloped her. When Samantha regained consciousness, the first thing she noticed was the smell, antiseptic with a hint of something alien, like ozone and exotic flowers. She blinked, her vision slowly coming into focus. The ceiling above her was a smooth, pearlescent surface that seemed to glow with its own inner light. "Subject has regained consciousness," a voice said. It was unlike anything Samantha had ever heard, melodic and multi-toned, as if several people were speaking in perfect harmony. Samantha tried to sit up, but found her body wouldn't respond. Panic began to set in as she realized she was restrained, lying on some sort of examination table. "Please remain calm, Dr. Samantha Carter," the voice continued. "You are safe. We apologize for any discomfort our extraction process may have caused." A face came into view, hovering above her. Samantha's scientific mind kicked into overdrive, cataloging details even as her heart raced. The being was humanoid, but clearly not human. Its skin was a pale lavender, smooth and slightly luminescent. Large, almond-shaped eyes of deep indigo regarded her with what seemed like genuine concern. There were no visible ears, just slight indentations where they should be, and a small, lipless mouth. What are you?" Samantha managed to ask, her voice hoarse. The being's mouth curved in what might have been a smile. "We are the Zinthari, a race dedicated to the pursuit of knowledge across the galaxy. I am Zalaran, lead researcher of this vessel." As Zalaran spoke, Samantha felt the restraints loosening. She sat up slowly, her head spinning slightly. The room around her was circular, filled with sleek, unfamiliar technology. Through a large viewport, she could see the curved edge of Earth, a blue marble suspended in the velvet blackness of space. "Why am I here?" Samantha asked, her scientific curiosity overtaking her fear. Zolran's expression became what Samantha could only interpret as excited. "You, Dr. Carter, are here because of your expertise. We've been observing Earth for some time, and your species fascinates us. Particularly, the complex nature of human relationships and intimacy." Samantha's mind raced. Her own research, the anomalies she'd been tracking, could they be connected to these aliens' observations? "Your work in human psychology has not gone unnoticed," Zolran continued. "We believe you can help us understand a fundamental aspect of humanity that eludes us, the intricate dance of emotions, particularly love and intimacy." "You've been studying us?" Samantha asked, her professional interest piqued despite the surreal situation. "The behavioral changes I've been tracking, was that you're doing?" Zolran made a sound that might have been a chuckle. "Perceptive. Yes, we've been conducting small-scale experiments, but we've reached the limits of what we can learn through passive observation. That's where you come in." Samantha stood up, surprised to find her legs steady. She walked to the viewport, gazing at her home planet. "What exactly do you want from me?" "We want you to be both subject and researcher," Zalrin explained, joining her at the window. "You'll help us design and participate in experiments to understand the nuances of human intimacy. In return, we offer you knowledge beyond anything your species has dreamed of." The scientist in Samantha was thrilled at the prospect. The human in her was terrified. "And if I refuse?" Zalrin's expression softened. "Then we return you to Earth, your memory of this encounter erased. We are researchers, Dr. Carter, not conquerors. Your participation must be willing." Samantha took a deep breath, her mind whirling with possibilities. This was the opportunity of a lifetime, to learn about an advanced alien race, to potentially advance human knowledge by centuries. But it was also dangerous, stepping into the unknown. "I have conditions," she said finally, turning to face Zalrin. The alien nodded, encouraging her to continue. "First, I want regular communication with Earth, so they know I'm safe. Second, I want access to all your data on humans. And third, I want the right to veto any experiment I deem unethical." Zalrin was silent for a moment, then nodded. "Your terms are acceptable, Dr. Carter. Welcome aboard the Zinthari research vessel." As if on cue, a door Samantha hadn't noticed before slid open, revealing a corridor bathed in the same pearlescent light as the room. Zalrin gestured towards it. "Shall we begin the tour? There's someone else I'd like you to meet." Samantha took one last look at Earth, then squared her shoulders. Whatever lay ahead, she was determined to face it with the courage and curiosity that defined humanity at its best. She followed Zalrin into the corridor, ready to embark on the most extraordinary research project in human history. As they walked, Zalrin explained more about the Zinthari and their mission. They were a species dedicated to understanding the diversity of life in the universe, with a particular fascination for sentient beings. Earth, with its rich tapestry of cultures and the complex emotional lives of humans, had become a subject of intense interest. "Your species is unique in our studies," Zalrin said. "The depth and variety of your emotions, particularly in matters of the heart, are unparalleled in our experience." Samantha listened, her mind racing with questions. "But surely, as an advanced species, you must have similar experiences. Love, friendship, intimacy. These are fundamental to conscious beings, aren't they?" Zalrin's expression was difficult to read, but Samantha sensed a mix of curiosity and something akin to longing. "Our society is based on logic and collective harmony. We form bonds, yes, but they are more practical. The intensity of human emotions, the irrationality of your attachments, these are alien concepts to us. Fascinating, but alien." They reached another door, this one larger and more ornate than the others they passed. Zalrin paused before opening it. "Dr. Carter, I must warn you. The being you're about to meet may come as a shock. Please remember, he is here of his own free will, just as you are." The door slid open, revealing a large, circular room. It was divided into several sections, each designed to mimic different Earth environments: a cozy living room, a bustling cafe, even a small park with real grass and trees. But it was the figure standing in the center of the room that caught Samantha's attention. He was human, tall and well-built, with tousled dark hair and piercing green eyes. He turned as they entered, a crooked smile playing on his lips. "Dr. Carter, I presume," he said, his voice carrying a hint of amusement. "I'm Alex Reeves. Welcome to the zoo." Samantha stared, momentarily at a loss for words. Finally, she found her voice. You're human. How long have you been here?" Alex chuckled, running a hand through his hair. "Oh, about 6 months, give or take. It's easy to lose track of time when you're the star exhibit in an alien research project." Zalrin stepped forward. "Alex has been an invaluable asset to our research. His openness and willingness to share his experiences have greatly advanced our understanding of human intimacy." Samantha's mind was reeling. She turned to Alex, studying him closely. He seemed healthy, even relaxed, but there was a wariness in his eyes that spoke of his unusual circumstances. "And you're here voluntarily?" she asked, unable to keep the skepticism from her voice. Alex's smile faded slightly. "As voluntary as one can be when abducted by aliens, I suppose. But yes, I chose to stay. The alternative was to go back to Earth with no memory of this place, of everything I've learned. I couldn't do that." Samantha nodded, understanding his decision even as part of her recoiled at the idea of being a test subject. She turned to Zalarin. "So, what exactly have you learned so far? And what's my role in all this?" Zalarin gestured to a seating area in the mock living room. As they sat, the alien began to explain. "We've made significant progress in understanding the physiological aspects of human intimacy, the chemical reactions, the physical responses. But the emotional component eludes us. Alex has been helpful, but we need a broader perspective." "That's where you come in, Doc," Alex interjected. "They need someone who can bridge the gap between subject and scientist, someone who can explain the inexplicable." Samantha leaned back, her mind already formulating research methodologies. "It won't be easy," she said. "Human emotions, especially when it comes to love and intimacy, are incredibly complex. They're influenced by culture, personal history, biology, a whole host of factors." Zalarin nodded eagerly. "Precisely why we need your expertise, Dr. Carter. We want to design experiments that can help us understand these nuances. And, if you're willing to experience them firsthand." The implication hung in the air. Samantha glanced at Alex, who met her gaze steadily. She realized with a start that they were more than just fellow subjects. They were potential partners in this bizarre experiment. "I'll need time," Samantha said finally. "Time to acclimate, to review your data, to design proper protocols. We can't just dive into this blindly." Zalarin agreed readily. "Of course, we have all the time we need. Our ship is equipped with technology that allows us to manipulate time dilation. Months can pass here while only days go by on Earth." This new information sent Samantha's mind spinning with possibilities. Not only could she conduct groundbreaking research on human intimacy, but she could also potentially unlock secrets of time and space. As if reading her thoughts, Alex leaned in. "It's a lot to take in, isn't it? But trust me, the things you'll learn here, the experiences you'll have, they're worth it." Samantha looked from Alex to Zalarin, then back to the viewport where Earth hung suspended in the cosmic void. She thought of her lab, her carefully controlled experiments, the papers she'd published. They all seemed so small now, so limited. "All right," she said, straightening her shoulders. "Let's get started. But remember, we do this my way. We're not just subjects. We're going to approach this as true scientists." Zalarin's expression brightened, the alien equivalent of a smile. "Excellent. I'll have our previous data transferred to your quarters. Alex can show you around the ship and help you get settled." As Zalarin left, Samantha turned to Alex. Their eyes met, and she felt a flutter of something. Anticipation, fear, excitement, she couldn't quite name it. Whatever lay ahead, she knew her life would never be the same. "So," Alex said, that crooked smile returning, "ready to explore the final frontier of human intimacy?" Samantha couldn't help but smile back. "As ready as I'll ever be. Lead the way, Mr. Reeves." As they left the room, Samantha's mind was already racing with ideas, hypotheses, and experimental designs. She was on the cusp of the greatest adventure of her life, one that would challenge not just her scientific knowledge, but her very understanding of what it meant to be human. Little did she know that this journey would take her to the heights of scientific discovery and the depths of human emotion, testing the boundaries of both in ways she could never have imagined. The intimacy paradigm. Dr. Samantha Carter stood in the observation deck of the Zinthari research vessel, her eyes fixed on a holographic display of human brain activity. The neural pathways sparkled like a cosmic dance, each flare representing a thought, an emotion, a memory. But it wasn't just any brain she was observing, it was her own. "Fascinating, isn't it?" Alex's voice broke through her concentration, He approached, his own neural activity displayed in a shimmering hologram above his head. To think, all our hopes, dreams, and desires are just electrical impulses in a lump of grey matter. Samantha nodded, her scientific curiosity warring with a sense of vulnerability. It was one thing to study the human brain. It was another entirely to have your innermost thoughts on display. The Zen theory called it the intimacy paradigm. Alex continued, gesturing to the interplay of their neural holograms. They believe that true intimacy is achieved when two minds synchronize at a neurological level. As if on cue, a third figure entered the room. Zolrin's alien physiology was starkly apparent in the neural hologram floating above their head, patterns both familiar and utterly foreign. "I see you're familiarizing yourself with our observation technology," Dr. Carter, Zolrin said, their multitonal voice tinged with excitement. "Are you ready to begin the first phase of our experiments?" Samantha took a deep breath, steeling herself. "I am, but I want to reiterate my conditions. We proceed carefully, ethically, and with full transparency." Zolrin nodded, their large eyes blinking in what Samantha had come to recognize as agreement. "Of course, we've prepared the empathy chamber for your first session." The empathy chamber. Even after a week aboard the Synthari vessel, the concept still sent a shiver down Samantha's spine. It was a marvel of alien technology, a room that could supposedly allow two individuals to experience each other's emotions and memories as if they were their own. As they made their way through the ship's pearlescent corridors, Samantha's mind raced. She had spent the past week poring over the Synthari's data, marveling at their advanced understanding of neuroscience and quantum entanglement. But for all their knowledge, they seemed utterly baffled by the complexities of human emotion. They reached a door that pulsed with a soft, blue light. Zolrin placed their hand on a sensor, and the door slid open with a whisper. The empathy chamber was a stark contrast to the rest of the ship. Instead of the usual pearlescent walls, the room was a perfect sphere of what looked like black glass. In the center stood two reclined chairs, facing each other, connected by a web of glowing filaments. "Ladies first," Alex said with a nervous chuckle, gesturing to one of the chairs. Samantha approached cautiously, her heart pounding. As she sat down, the chair seemed to mold to her body, surprisingly comfortable despite its alien design. Alex took the seat opposite her, their eyes meeting. There was fear there, but also determination, and something else, something Samantha wasn't quite ready to name. "Remember," Zolrin's voice came from somewhere unseen, "the empathy chamber will allow you to experience each other's emotions and select memories. The process can be intense, but you are in control. You can end the session at any time by simply willing it to stop." Samantha nodded, then looked at Alex. "Ready?" He gave her a lopsided grin. "As I'll ever be, Doc." The filaments connecting their chairs began to glow brighter. Samantha felt a tingling sensation spreading from the base of her skull, down her spine, to the tips of her fingers and toes. And then suddenly she wasn't just Samantha anymore. She was Alex, a young boy watching his parents argue, feeling small and powerless. She was Alex, a teenager experiencing his first kiss behind the school gymnasium, heart racing with excitement and terror. She was Alex, a young man receiving the news of his father's death, a maelstrom of grief and regret threatening to consume him. Through it all, she could feel Alex experiencing her memories too, the thrill of her first major scientific breakthrough, the crushing disappointment of a failed relationship, the wonder of gazing up at the stars and dreaming of what lay beyond. Emotions crashed over her like waves, joy, sorrow, anger, love, all intermingling in a symphony of human experience. It was overwhelming, terrifying, and utterly exhilarating. Just when Samantha thought she couldn't take any more, she felt a presence, not Alex, not herself, but something else. The Synthari consciousness brushed against her mind, alien and familiar all at once. And in that moment, Samantha understood. The Synthari weren't just studying human intimacy, they were seeking to experience it themselves. Their entire species had evolved beyond individual emotions, achieving a collective consciousness that, while incredibly advanced, left them unable to fathom the depths of human connection. With a gasp, Samantha opened her eyes. The empathy chamber slowly came back into focus. Alex sat across from her, tears streaming down his face. Whether from his emotions or hers, she couldn't tell. By all the stars, Zalrin's voice was hushed, filled with awe. The depth of your emotions, it's unlike anything we've ever encountered. Samantha stood on shaky legs, her mind reeling from the experience. She looked at Alex, seeing him in a whole new light. Every laugh line, every scar told a story she now knew intimately. I think, she said slowly, her voice hoarse, we've only scratched the surface of what intimacy truly means, not just for humans, but for all sentient beings. Alex nodded, wiping his eyes. So, Doc, what's our next move? Samantha turned to where she knew Zalarin was watching. We need to go deeper, not just into human emotions, but into the very nature of consciousness itself. The Zinthari aren't just observers in this experiment, they're participants. And I have a hypothesis about why. As she began to outline her theory, Samantha felt a surge of excitement. They were on the brink of a discovery that could change not just humanity's understanding of intimacy, but the very nature of interspecies relations across the galaxy. Little did they know, this breakthrough would soon put them on a collision course with forces beyond their imagination, as the true purpose of the Zinthari's research began to unfold. The empathy chamber hummed softly, its black glass surface reflecting the determined faces of Samantha and Alex. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, not just as fellow subjects or colleagues, but as two beings irrevocably connected by an experience beyond words. As they left the chamber, the air thick with unspoken emotions and scientific possibilities, one thing was clear: the experiment had only just begun, and its repercussions would echo across the cosmos. Quantum entanglement of the heart. The Zinthari research vessel hummed with an energy that seemed to resonate with the very fabric of space-time. Dr. Samantha Carter stood before a holographic display, her fingers dancing through the air as she manipulated complex equations. Beside her, Alex Reeves watched in awe, his own neural hologram pulsing in sync with hers, a lasting effect of their time in the empathy chamber. I think I've cracked it, Samantha muttered, her eyes gleaming with the fire of scientific breakthrough. The Zinthari aren't just studying human intimacy, they're trying to reverse engineer it. Alex leaned in, his brow furrowed. Reverse engineer intimacy? Is that even possible? Samantha turned to him, her expression a mix of excitement and trepidation. Think about it, Alex. The Zinthari have achieved a level of collective consciousness that's beyond our comprehension. But in doing so, they've lost something fundamental: the ability to form deep, individual connections. As if summoned by their discussion, Zalrin entered the laboratory, that alien features arranged in what Samantha had come to recognize as intense curiosity. Dr. Carter, your neural activity suggests a significant revelation, Zalrin said, their multitonal voice tinged with anticipation. Please enlighten us. Samantha took a deep breath, gathering her thoughts. Your species has been studying human intimacy not just out of scientific curiosity, but out of necessity. You've reached an evolutionary dead end, perfect unity at the cost of individual emotion. Our capacity for love, for deep personal bonds, is something you desperately want to recapture. Zalrin was silent for a long moment, their large eyes blinking rapidly. Finally, they spoke, their voice uncharacteristically subdued. Your insight is correct, Dr. Carter. We had hoped to unlock the secret of human intimacy, to find a way to reintroduce individual emotional connections without losing our collective consciousness. Alex whistled low. Talk about relationship goals. You're trying to make an entire species fall in love with itself. It's more than that, Samantha said, her mind racing with implications. If we can find a way to bridge the gap between individual emotion and collective consciousness, it could revolutionize not just the Zinthari society, but our understanding of consciousness itself. She turned back to the holographic display, pulling up a new set of equations. I think the key lies in quantum entanglement, not just of particles, but of consciousness itself. Alex and Zalarin crowded around the display as Samantha explained her theory. She posited that human intimacy, love in its purest form, was a kind of quantum entanglement of consciousness. Two individuals, deeply connected, could achieve a state of emotional synchronicity that transcended normal physical laws. If we can find a way to induce this quantum entanglement on a larger scale, Samantha concluded, her voice breathless with excitement, we might be able to create a bridge between individual emotion and collective consciousness. Zalrin's expression was unreadable, but their neural hologram pulsed with an intensity Samantha had never seen before. What you're proposing, Dr. Carter, is beyond anything we had imagined, but the implications, the risks, are enormous, Samantha finished. I know. That's why we need to proceed carefully. We need to test this theory on a smaller scale first. Alex stepped forward, his jaw set with determination. I volunteer. Whatever you need, Doc, I'm in. Samantha felt a surge of emotion, gratitude, admiration, and something deeper that she wasn't quite ready to name. She nodded, turning to Zalarin. We'll need to modify the empathy chamber, and we'll need a Zinthari volunteer as well, someone willing to risk experiencing individual emotion. Zalarin was quiet for a moment, then straightened to their full height. I will volunteer. As the lead researcher, it is my responsibility to see this through. The next few days were a whirlwind of activity. Samantha worked tirelessly with the Zinthari scientists to modify the empathy chamber, integrating quantum entanglement technology that pushed the boundaries of known physics. Alex underwent a series of preparatory procedures, his body and mind being primed for the experiment. Finally, the day arrived. The modified empathy chamber pulsed with an otherworldly energy, the black glass surface now laced with veins of glowing quantum filaments. 3 chairs stood in a triangular formation, one for Samantha, one for Alex, and one for Zalarin. As they took their positions, Samantha felt a mix of scientific excitement and primal fear. They were about to attempt something unprecedented, a 3-way quantum entanglement of consciousness across species. Remember, Samantha said, her voice steady despite her racing heart, the goal is to achieve emotional synchronicity without losing your individual identity. Alex, you'll act as the conduit, the bridge between human emotion and Zinthari collective consciousness. Zalarin, you'll need to open yourself to the experience of individual emotion, and I'll be monitoring and guiding the process. Alex gave her a lopsided grin. No pressure, right, Doc? Zalarin's large eyes blinked rapidly, that alien features set in determination. We are ready, Dr. Carter. Initiate the quantum entanglement. Samantha took a deep breath and activated the chamber. The quantum filaments blazed to life, enveloping them in a cocoon of light. She felt the familiar tingle of the neural interface, but this time it was different, more intense, as if every atom of her being was coming alive. And then suddenly she wasn't just Samantha anymore. She was Alex, feeling the rush of adrenaline and the depth of his trust in her. She was Zalarin, experiencing the vast, serene ocean of collective consciousness. And she was herself, the scientist, the observer, the linchpin holding it all together. Emotions flooded through her, human and alien, individual and collective. She felt Alex's courage, his fear, his growing affection for her. She felt Zalarin's wonder as they experienced individual emotion for the first time in eons, the sheer joy and terror of being a single feeling entity. And then something extraordinary happened. For a brief, shining moment, they achieved perfect synchronicity. Human emotion and alien collective consciousness merged, creating something entirely new, a state of being that transcended both individual and collective, a harmony of heart and mind that spanned the cosmos. Samantha gasped as the connection broke, the empathy chamber powering down. She opened her eyes to see Alex and Zalarin staring at her in awe. Did you? Alex began, his voice hoarse. Feel that? Yeah, Samantha finished, her mind reeling from the experience. Zolran's neural hologram was a riot of activity, pulsing with colors Samantha had never seen before. It was, beyond words, the aliens said, their voice filled with emotion for the first time. We have glimpsed the future of our species, of all sentient life. As they sat there, processing what had just occurred, alarms began to blare throughout the ship. The door to the empathy chamber slid open, and a Xinthari scientist rushed in, their usually calm demeanor shattered. Lead researcher Zalarin, they said, their voice urgent, we're detecting a massive energy surge approaching the ship. It's like nothing we've ever seen before. Samantha exchanged a look with Alex and Zalarin. Whatever they had done in the empathy chamber, it hadn't gone unnoticed. They had opened a door to something vast and unknown, and now something was knocking back. As they rushed to the bridge, Samantha's mind raced. They had achieved something miraculous, a breakthrough that could change the course of galactic civilization. But at what cost? And what forces had they unwittingly awakened? The view screen on the bridge showed a swirling vortex of energy approaching the ship, pulsing with the same quantum signature as their experiment. As they watched in awe and terror, Samantha realized that their journey into the heart of intimacy and consciousness had only just begun. The true test of their theories, their courage, and the power of human emotion lay ahead. The cosmos itself seemed to hold its breath, awaiting the outcome of this unprecedented encounter between science, emotion, and the fundamental forces of the universe. Cosmic heartstrings. The bridge of the Xinthari research vessel thrummed with tension as the swirling vortex of energy grew ever closer. Dr. Samantha Carter's fingers flew across the alien console, a mind racing to comprehend the data streaming before her eyes. It's not just energy, she breathed, her voice a mix of awe and trepidation. It's conscious. Alex leaned in, his neural hologram pulsing in sync with Samantha's. Conscious? You mean like alive? Zolran's multitonal voice cut through the chaos. Not alive in the biological sense, but aware. It appears our experiment has attracted the attention of something beyond our current understanding. The vortex pulsed, sending waves of quantum energy washing over the ship. Samantha gasped as she felt a tickle at the edge of her consciousness, a vast alien presence trying to make contact. It's attempting to communicate, she said, her eyes wide. But not through any medium we understand. It's trying to connect with us emotionally. Alex placed a hand on her shoulder, his touch grounding her. Like what we did in the empathy chamber, but on a cosmic scale. Samantha nodded, her mind whirling with possibilities. Exactly. Whatever this entity is, it recognized the quantum entanglement of our emotions. It's curious. Zolran's large eyes blinked rapidly, their neural hologram a riot of alien thought patterns. We must respond, but how? A plan formed in Samantha's mind, audacious and potentially catastrophic. We need to use the ship itself as an empathy chamber. If we can channel the quantum entanglement through the ship's systems, we might be able to establish a connection. Alex's eyes widened. You want to make first contact with an unknown cosmic entity through the power of love. That's either brilliant or completely insane. Probably both, Samantha said with a grim smile. She turned to Zalarin. Can it be done? The alien was silent for a moment, consulting with the ship's A. Finally, they nodded. It is possible, but highly dangerous. The energy required could tear the ship apart. And if we don't try? Alex asked. As if in answer, the vortex pulsed again, stronger this time. The ship groaned under the strain, warning alarms blaring. We don't have a choice, Samantha said. Zalarin, start the modifications. Alex, I need you with me in the core chamber. Your experience with human emotion is crucial. As they raced through the ship's corridors, Samantha's mind was a whirlwind of scientific theories and primal emotions. They were about to attempt something unprecedented in the history of the universe. using the power of human intimacy to communicate with a cosmic entity. The core chamber was a massive spherical room, dominated by a pulsing crystal that served as the ship's heart. Zolrin's voice came over the intercom, guiding them through the process of integrating themselves with the ship's systems. Samantha and Alex stood on opposite sides of the crystal, their hands hovering over control panels. Their eyes met, a universe of unspoken emotions passing between them. "Alex," Samantha said softly, "whatever happens, I want you to know." He cut her off with a crooked smile. "I know, Doc, me too." With a deep breath, they'd placed their hands on the panels. Instantly, they were connected not just to each other, but to the entire ship. Samantha could feel the metal and crystal as if it were her own body, could sense the vastness of space around them. And there at the edge of perception was the entity. It was vast beyond comprehension, a being of pure energy and emotion. Samantha felt its curiosity, its ancient loneliness, its burning desire to connect. Drawing on everything she had learned about human intimacy, about the quantum entanglement of hearts and minds, Samantha reached out. She opened herself completely, offering her memories, her emotions, her very essence. She felt Alex doing the same, his consciousness intertwining with hers. And beyond them, she sensed the Zinthari collective, Zalrin guiding their species in this unprecedented communion. For a moment that seemed to stretch into eternity, nothing happened. Then, like a supernova of emotion, the entity responded. Joy, sorrow, love, fear. Emotions beyond human naming flooded through Samantha. She saw the birth of stars and the death of galaxies. She felt the loneliness of eons sent drifting through the cosmic void, and the exhilaration of finally finding someone to connect with. Tears streamed down Samantha's face as she struggled to maintain the connection. Beside her, Alex was openly weeping, his body shaking with the effort of channeling cosmic emotions through human neurology. Just when Samantha thought they couldn't take any more, she felt something change. The entity, vast and ancient as it was, began to understand. It saw the beauty in human intimacy, the power of individual connections, and in return it offered a gift. Knowledge flooded into Samantha's mind, the secrets of quantum entanglement on a cosmic scale, the true nature of consciousness, the fundamental forces that bound not just atoms, but hearts and souls across the universe. With a final pulse of emotion that could only be described as gratitude, the entity began to withdraw. The vortex of energy dissipated, leaving behind a profound silence. Samantha opened her eyes, finding herself on the floor of the core chamber. Alex was beside her, his hand clasped tightly in hers. Around them the ship hummed with new energy, forever changed by its encounter with the cosmic entity. Zolrin's voice came over the intercom, filled with awe. "Dr. Carter, Alex, you've done it. The entity has departed, but it left behind everything. Our databases are overflowing with new information, the secrets of the universe." Samantha sat up slowly, her mind reeling from the experience. She looked at Alex, seeing her own wonder and exhaustion mirrored in his eyes. "We did it," she whispered. "We made first contact through the power of human intimacy." Alex chuckled weakly. "Just another day at the office, right, Doc?" As they helped each other to their feet, Samantha knew that nothing would ever be the same. They had unlocked the secrets of cosmic love, bridged the gap between individual emotion and universal consciousness. The implications were staggering. With this new knowledge, they could revolutionize not just human relationships, but the very fabric of galactic society. The Zinthari could reclaim their capacity for individual love without losing their collective consciousness. Humanity could take its first steps towards a deeper connection with the cosmos. As they made their way to the bridge, leaning on each other for support, Samantha felt a profound sense of purpose. They had embarked on this journey to study human intimacy, but they had discovered something far greater, the universal language of love, written in the quantum strings of reality itself. The adventure was far from over. With the cosmos as their laboratory and love as their guiding force, Samantha, Alex, and the Zinthari stood on the brink of a new era of exploration and discovery. As the ship set a course for Earth, carrying its precious cargo of cosmic knowledge, Samantha gazed out at the star-studded vastness of space. For the first time, she truly understood. Every point of light was not just a distant sun, but a beacon of cosmic love, waiting to be discovered and understood. The greatest experiment in the history of science had only just begun, and its laboratory was as vast as the universe itself. Quantum heartbeat of humanity. The Zinthari vessel pierced Earth's atmosphere, a shooting star carrying a payload of cosmic revelation. Dr. Samantha Carter stood at the viewscreen, her hand intertwined with Alex's, their neural holograms dancing in perfect synchronicity. The blue marble of their home planet grew larger, a sight both familiar and utterly changed by their extraordinary journey. "Are we really going to tell them everything?" Alex asked, his voice tinged with anticipation and a hint of fear. Samantha squeezed his hand, feeling the quantum resonance of their connection pulse between them. "We have to. What we've discovered, it changes everything." Zalrin approached, their alien features arranged in what Samantha now recognized as deep contemplation. "The implications for your species are profound. Are you certain they are ready?" Samantha took a deep breath, her mind racing with the weight of their responsibility. They weren't just bringing back scientific data, they were carrying the key to unlocking the very nature of cosmic consciousness, a gift from an entity beyond human comprehension. "Ready or not," she said, her voice steady, "humanity needs this. The quantum heartbeat protocol isn't just about intimacy anymore, it's about our place in the universe." As the ship touched down in a remote area, prearranged through encrypted messages Samantha had sent ahead, they were met by a small group of the world's leading scientists, government officials, and surprisingly, spiritual leaders. Samantha stepped off the ship, Alex and Zalrin flanking her. The assembled group gasped at the sight of the alien, but Samantha raised her hand for silence. "What we're about to share with you will challenge everything you think you know about science, consciousness, and the very nature of reality," she began, her voice carrying across the stunned crowd. "But more importantly, it will reveal the true power of human emotion, a force as fundamental to the cosmos as gravity." Over the next few hours, Samantha, Alex, and Zalrin took turns explaining their discoveries. They spoke of the empathy chamber, the quantum entanglement of consciousness, and their encounter with the cosmic entity. With each revelation, the audience's expressions shifted from skepticism to wonder to profound awe. "The quantum heartbeat protocol," Samantha explained, activating a holographic display that showed the intricate dance of entangled consciousnesses, allows us to tap into the underlying emotional frequency of the universe. It's not just about connecting two individuals, it's about tuning the human heart to the cosmic symphony. A renowned physicist stepped forward, his eyes wide with excitement. "Are you saying we can quantify love? Measure it like any other fundamental force?" Alex chuckled, shaking his head. "Not exactly, Doc. We're saying love is a fundamental force, as real as gravity, as powerful as a strong nuclear force, and now we can harness it." The implications began to sink in. A spiritual leader, tears in her eyes, spoke up. This could bridge the gap between science and faith. The universe isn't cold and uncaring, it's alive with love, with consciousness." Zalrin nodded, their multi-tonal voice gentle. "Your mythologies, your religions, they were attempts to understand this cosmic truth. Now we have the means to experience it directly." As the day wore on, plans were made. The quantum heartbeat protocol would be studied, refined, and carefully introduced to the world. But this wasn't just about scientific advancement, it was about evolving humanity's place in the cosmos. Samantha, Alex, and Zalrin became the faces of this new era, traveling the globe to oversee the construction of empathy chambers and train the first wave of quantum empaths, individuals capable of channeling and directing the cosmic force of love. The changes were gradual at first, but soon became undeniable. Conflict resolution took on a new dimension when negotiators could literally feel each other's emotions. Therapy was revolutionized as patients and doctors achieved previously impossible levels of understanding. Even education was transformed, as the ability to share knowledge and experience on a quantum level opened up new frontiers of learning. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. Some feared the technology, seeing it as a threat to individual privacy and autonomy. Others tried to weaponize it, seeking to manipulate emotions on a mass scale. Samantha and her team worked tirelessly to stay ahead of these challenges, always guided by the profound responsibility they felt to both humanity and the cosmos. 5 years after their return to Earth, Samantha stood on stage at a global summit, addressing representatives from every nation. The neural hologram above her head pulsed with the combined consciousness of millions connected through the quantum heartbeat network. "We stand at a crossroads," she said, her voice echoing across the world. "We have been given a gift, the ability to connect not just with each other, but with the very heart of the universe. The question now is, what will we do with it?" She gestured to Alex and Zalren, who joined her on stage. Together, they activated a device that sent a pulse of quantum-entangled love across the globe. For a brief, shining moment, every human on Earth felt connected, part of something greater than themselves. As the pulse faded, Samantha looked out at the tearful, awe-struck faces before her. "This is just the beginning," she said softly. "We've taken our first steps into a larger universe. A universe that feels, that loves, that reaches out to connect with us if only we open our hearts to listen." The applause that followed was deafening, but Samantha barely heard it. Her mind was already racing ahead, to the next phase of human evolution. They had unlocked the quantum nature of love, but there was still so much to explore, so much to understand. As she left the stage, hand in hand with Alex, their neural holograms dancing in perfect harmony, Samantha felt a familiar tingle at the edge of her consciousness. The cosmic entity they had encountered years ago was still out there, watching, waiting. And someday, she knew, humanity would be ready to reach out and embrace it fully, to take its place among the stars not just as explorers, but as cosmic lovers, attuned to the great heartbeat of the universe itself. The quantum heartbeat protocol was more than a scientific breakthrough. It was the key to humanity's cosmic destiny. And Samantha Carter, the woman who had bridged the gap between human intimacy and universal consciousness, was just getting started. As the sun set on this new era of human evolution, the stars seemed to pulse with anticipation, ready to welcome their new companions in the great dance of cosmic love.